Drink the water. Okay, I think we're recording. Now we're recording. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that right in there. No.
Yeah, leave it in. I don't know. I'm waiting to start.
Well, welcome to How to Be Friends with Dave and Shawn, a Star Wars story of romance. Not really. Don't sue us. Disney. We don't need that. Hi, Shawn.
Hi, Dave.
Now, I want everyone to know who watched episode 109 that the Shawn that was cussing up a storm the last time has been sacked. But unfortunately, we are now 10 episodes in, which by default added us to the Podcasters Guild, and so I was forced to rehire him at double his previous pay.
Yeah. Positive response from some people about that episode, but in fairness, not really applicable to a wider audience.
No, my mom had it. She was like, that Shawn has a foul mouth.
He does. He does have a foul mouth.
But she still likes you. So we actually have a lot of really wild stuff this week. We do have a question that we need to come up to. We talk about whether or not we should use McDonald's as research for anything. Kind of want Shawn's professional opinion on our next LSCO and anything else that comes across our way. So before we get started with that, though, I would like to mention our first sponsor of the night, Shawn, your mom. Yep, she is. She's the reason you're here.
Okay. If she's
gonna...
out there, if anybody knows where she is, are we talking my biological mom or the one who raised me?
You pick the sponsor this time.
Let's pick the one who raised me.
Fair enough.
The actual mother. Not the egg donor.
Absolutely. No, big shout out to the good Shawn mom for sponsoring the Shawn who makes this show special. See, I bet you thought that was going to be glib.
No, not at all. Think you would be all mean about my mother.
No. She's a sweet lady who I've never met, so I don't know. I could be lying. She might be awful. I don't think she is, based on you, but...
She's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I'm glad. Now...
I'm a fan.
Shawn, question...
Yes. Uh-huh.
From a co-worker's child, actually.
Yes.
This child may be interested in creating a podcast of his own, and so we can definitely help him in our success.
Yeah.
Who decides?
It's like the YouTube videos that are like how to get 1 million views on YouTube, but that video only has like 938 views. Like,
or the guy who's clearly not a millionaire trying to convince you that he's a millionaire so that you buy his stuff and make him a millionaire.
Yeah, I read all these books last week and I had to make room for my second Lamborghini. Yeah.
Okay, so the question from a co-worker's child. Who decides the questions on an FAQ?
That is a good question. And I've actually thought that in the past. How often does a question have to be asked until somebody in corporate is like, wow, we sure get this question a lot. So often, so we should just write it down and post it on our website. Like, my argument is it's not the most frequently asked questions. It's the most argued questions.
It could be that. Or in my case, they're like the natural selection questions. If you can't independently find the answers to these questions, you should be weeded out. The questions I have are never answered in the FAQ. Ever.
Yeah. No, yes, absolutely. Some FAQ questions, it boggles my mind that a human being has the brain power to read those questions, and some of those questions are being answered for them. Like, is Sunbeam's 4-slice toaster compatible with a bathtub? No.
No.
That's not a question that you should have to answer. But yet, we have things that say, hey, don't take a bath with your toaster. I don't.
Take the warning labels off. Let nature work itself out. I am
It,
not
that,
advocating any violence.
no.
I'm just saying, if you can't put
Just
that
saying.
2+, the
If you want to use your hair dryer in the shower,
did you
natural
know what?
selection, baby.
Thank you. I actually found out today that natural selection has not been taught in the local schools here. My son is all the way up in the 8th grade now without having learned what natural selection is.
He goes to public school, though?
Yeah.
He might figure it out. Just depends on if, one of the kids there, their parent buys them a gun and they stop taking their antidepressants.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Oh, by the way, totally unrelated, but Run, Hide, Fight, good movie. Hard to get your hands on because you have to have a subscription to the Daily Wire to see it. But it was a movie about a school shooting, and it was like high school Die Hard. It was actually really good.
Huh. Interesting. So it glorified the violence of a high school shooting?
No. No, there's a lot of critics that are mad at it because they feel like it's in bad taste because it is kind of like, okay, Red Dawn, all right, from the 80s
Yeah.
was just a survivalist's wet dream, right?
So was the new Red Dawn.
Thank you, except
It was a garbage movie, but yeah.
right. The original Red Dawn was one of the most violent movies ever made. There was more blank rounds fired in that movie. It's in the top 10 in terms of violence. The new one,
Jennifer
not so much.
Grey that's in that movie?
Which one are we talking about?
Jennifer
Red Dawn?
Grey, Red Dawn popping out of a spider hole and smoking Ruskies.
Yeah. Like she was
No,
born
it's an
to murder.
extremely violent movie.
It is,
yeah.
right. So it's Run, Hide, Fight, also an extremely violent movie, and in that same regard has that kind of like survivalist wet dream taste. Like if you raised a child right to like stand up to shiz. So yeah, on the flip side, you could easily say this is a steaming pile of garbage, but it's also the type of movie that no one's done before. So I really appreciate that it exists. And Thomas Jane, I don't care if he has 4 lines in a movie. That guy is good in everything that he does.
Thomas Jane he's wonderful, yes.
Okay. Now I need to get into something that will probably be the end of society. Okay. ASMR.
Something you've always told me you've enjoyed. Something that I've been told by other people that they enjoy. I will listen to white noise and stuff to go to sleep. Is that a version of ASMR?
No, not really. Okay, so I haven't been on an ASMR kick in probably 18 months or so. Like it was useful to me when I was on like a super high stress, not like like toxic stress. Like right now with army and work and kids and nursing school, I have stress, but that's just work stress. When I was in an exceptionally toxic relationship, there was some ASMR that really helped bring me down. I haven't needed that in some time. It's a bit odd, but it's had strange babies.
But to clarify, ASMR, describe it to somebody who doesn't know what it is.
Okay, so ASMR is, I can't remember I should have looked up before this started, the actual acronym, but basically, if you've ever been sitting in a classroom and there's
autonomous sensory meridian response.
Yeah, it's kind of a made-up term, so it doesn't matter. Much like Listerine back in the day invented the diagnosis of halitosis. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it's good fun. This is a made-up medical term. If you've ever been like in a classroom, a quiet place, a library, what have you, when you're kind of calm and people start whispering to each other in the background and it kind of gives you a little bit of tingles on the back of your neck, that's kind of the idea of ASMR. The problem is it's like a damn drug for some people. You kind of have to keep getting it, you kind of have to keep getting it, kind of have to keep getting it. And now we're down to what's ending the world. Mukbangs.
That's people eating food, right?
So it stems from ASMR,
You
that
can see how out of the loop I am, because none of
it's
this makes sense to me at all.
because
Like I understand it, but like the
you're
idea of
rash.
this, the idea of listening to people whisper to
Yeah.
calm me down doesn't make, I don't know, it doesn't click with me.
Well, okay, take my own situation where I was in a world of like everything in my face all day, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that, like something very gentle, something very quiet, something very positive, was a nice balance to that. I don't need that now. But the mukbang, okay, I totally understand. There are a lot of cultures out there that like the sound of eating. Oh my.
Like that?
If you're listening to this podcast right now and you've got tingles from that, you might be a person who would enjoy ASMR.
The irony is I'm doing with this with the bag that holds my anxiety medication.
But yes, there are cultures who like the sounds of eating. It's considered polite to make lots of noise when you're eating. It shows that you're
Okay.
enjoying it. There are many people in this world who find that the most disgusting thing in the universe.
I will leave the table.
And rightly so. Like a little quiet chewing, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. But
The
mukbangs,
sound of somebody drinking liquid is a trigger for me. Like seriously, it turns me in a way I can't possibly describe. No, it's not the civic sound. It's that gulpy sound. Like, it makes me so angry.
okay, we're off the rails.
So,
Yeah, so
yeah,
if you
so
do not,
it's become mukbange.
the point of it is, if you're like our friend Shawn here, and you do not like the sound of eating, you go and you Google a mukbang. It is like the blue waffle of your universe. It's not okay. We should not. I don't know what's going on, but I have okay. Uh, Parental spoiler alert: pornography can be a problem. It can absolutely be a problem. And all right, if you find that you have to start looking up things that involve goats, farm equipment, and people of a variety of different abilities or disabilities in order to get release, you really
Normally it's me going to this realm, but it's you this time, so that's cool.
there's a reason for this.
Thank you for sharing the pain.
That's what mukbang is of ASMR. If you find now that in order to get an ASMR response, you have to watch some 90-pound woman just burn through 12 Big Macs in a single sitting, you need to check your priorities in life.
Our society is amazing.
It is remarkable.
It's gross. It's so disgusting.
Speaking of Big Macs,
But
that's a matter of
there's
curiosity.
100 people watching this video, and there's 100,000 people watching somebody eat a bunch of Cane's fried chicken. So,
Oh,
who am I to
at
talk?
least. But we're gonna have the ASMR tag on this now just for bringing it up. So maybe we're gonna catch a few of you and set you right. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my whale noises for the next 40 minutes.
If you, all right, just because we've had people say we need more advice on being friends here, if you do not have a person in your life who's going to tell you to check yourself before you wreck yourself, you need this. You need a real friend who can say, hey, maybe a mukbang is a bad idea for relaxation.
Yeah, you know what? You do, your friends should keep you in check. Friends support each other no matter what. No, we call each other out when we're doing something stupid.
And that's
and if you're watching food consummation videos and it becomes something you need in your life, you might have a problem. Now, I have other videos that I watch on a regular basis that are a need in my life, and if I shared them with somebody, they
It'd be
might
appalling.
well, they might call me a dork. It's nothing inappropriate, but
Oh, that's fair.
let's
Now,
just say I think got a thing for Riker. Just saying.
that's the beard, isn't it?
Season 2, starting that beard off. Growl.
Okay. Now, speaking of shoving Big Macs down the throat of a 90-pound person, I am genuinely interested, Shawn. Where do you stand on the idea of a $15 minimum wage?
I think the idea of changing minimum wage stands in most people's minds as being like the ultimate fix to solving people's issues, but they don't take the entire structure of our society into check. So when you raise minimum wage, you're effectively still raising the cost of everything else because everybody accounts for it. So I could make an extra $3 an hour, but rent goes up and the cost of milk goes up and things like that. It's not actually a fix. What would essentially be a fix is increasing the minimum wage percentage with the actual cost of living increase, which we haven't done since what? 1970s? So giving somebody $15 an hour doesn't fix anything. All it does is effectively raise the price of everything within the $15 an hour circle.
Correct.
Because the stores who sell the milk have to pay people $15 an hour, which means they charge more for the milk. It's a perpetuating cycle. It's not a fix to anything. It's you think you're fixing something, but essentially you're propagating the issue.
That's fair. In a remarkably deadpan delivery, good job.
It's kind of annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end, if you live in a city that raises their minimum wage and you live outside that city, that's probably a good thing for you.
So for anyone who's listening and didn't just go to sleep at us bringing up economics,
I was going to get angry about it, but there's really nothing to get angry about. It's just people who haven't studied economics making economic decisions.
I've got something to get angry about. That's okay. What I'm getting to with this. Because this is a point this could be debated endlessly, and anyone out there who, hit me? What?
No, I mean it absolutely could be debated endlessly. That's the problem.
Right, endlessly. So my point with this is, and this is what's bothering me about this. Okay, so first off, if this is something that interests you, look up the random walk theory in terms of investing, and that basically blows a hole in most economic theories, and unfortunately it hasn't been unproven. I'm a big fan of it. But there was an NPR study about McDonald's and its operating performance as a support to the idea of a $15 minimum wage. Shawn, what's the definition of confirmation bias?
Confirmation bias. Gosh, I'm sorry, I haven't studied this in a while. Confirmation bias. No, you gotta. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to put it eloquently.
It's opposite.
When you look at a result and it reinforces the bias you had when you started the test, right?
It's the opposite of the scientific method. If you generate, if you generate a hypothesis,
positive results,
right. You have a theory, and you are making every effort to try to prove it. NPR likes the idea of a $15 minimum wage. Lord knows why, because none of those people listen to NPR or are going to donate to NPR, but they like the idea of it. So
also,
they hunt
Kai
down.
Ryssdal is on NPR, and he should be like just ripping this apart. Kai Ryssdal.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
They sought out McDonald's as a case study for the veracity of a $15 minimum wage, going through it and talking about how it didn't really increased the prices of the food, and of course the jobs were still there, and the company still made money, and so therefore,
That is not. No.
no,
No, because
no.
they increased minimum wage at one location within a city.
Okay,
That's not a good. That's not a test of minimum wage.
this isn't what's upsetting me because first off,
It upsets me because
no,
that's
no,
a
no.
dumb
I'm gonna
study.
get to what upsets me because I actually like McDonald's. I actually like a Big Mac, a quarter pounder, a $1 Diet Coke. These are things that I like. Okay, judge me all. The entire internet can judge me for that, but let me get to the point. Okay, you can't take McDonald's, which is one part of an entire economy,
Right.
and say it doing one thing in a larger economy justifies taking that one thing and applying it to the entire economy.
Absolutely not. You're absolutely right. That's incredibly dumb.
But let me get to what pisses me off about this. NPR is not a fan of McDonald's. They're happy to piss all over their corporate greed and their food that'll kill you until it serves their purposes. 5 minutes ago, they would have again harkened back to Super Size Me, a 20-year-old video about how bad McDonald's is. But the moment $15 minimum wage comes around, they got on with their hushed tones and said that McDonald's has provided an interesting laboratory to prove the economic benefits of a $15 minimum.
Yeah, no, that's not a laboratory. That's a petri dish.
And for crying out loud, why does NPR run so many ads?
Yeah, I supported NPR for a few years with my hard-earned money, and I really just wanted to listen to the programming. But boy, yeah, they do. They beg for money a lot more, and they run a lot of
Yes.
Yeah, not a whole lot of driveway moments anymore with NPR, as far as I'm concerned.
No. Which, by the way, is a wonderful thing. If you find yourself a show that you're listening to on your drive home and you get home and you stay in your car to finish listening to it, that's a good ass show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, NPR.
Ridiculous.
You've gone downhill.
And now, if you become a lifetime member of NPR, you can get this special book of baby names for transgender children.
Yeah, I don't need the $287 tote.
No, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Okay. Now, I got to move on with a couple of other fun things here. For example, I do need to hit a little bit of news. Last week, okay, first off, with the last joke, I'm not making fun of transgender people. I actually just very recently learned there may be a reason for a lot of things changing societally and physiologically that we didn't know about. Okay? Apparently, according to Dr. Anthony J., there are estrogens contained in plastics.
Okay.
So,
luckily,
hit me.
Luckily, California banned plastic straws.
Up.
I think we're going to be okay.
How many plastic straws, or I guess better said, how many times do you have to use your complicated metal straw that you have to wash after each use? How many times do you have to use and wash that before you make up the difference for disposable plastic straws?
I don't know. How much of an adult do you have to be to drink from a cup without a straw?
Wow, nice demonstration too.
Also, yeah, so you're cleaning the straw and you're using a bunch more water. I understand the concern. Sea turtles are out there, they get a hold of a straw, all of a sudden they could snort Coke. I get it. The thing is, now the sea turtles, if they have those straws, apparently are going to have estrogen levels that are raised.
Yeah, okay, so we done our studies in regards to the potential harms of food service plastics, plastics that are exposed to our digestive system, our body, and so forth. That's part of why we don't have BPA in plastics anymore. We don't want the cancers on
It's
the
also
thing.
the reason plastic wrap doesn't stick to anything anymore. Look that up. It's really annoying. Go ahead.
I might have to. So I pulled this up specifically from biohackerslab.com, but Dr. Anthony J. wrote a book about this, and apparently plastics naturally have chemical estrogens in them that are analogous to our own natural estrogens that can build up in our bodies and effectively make us more ladylike.
How do I get this? How does this plastic transfer its delicious chemicals into me to make me ladylike?
Same way it has ever since you buy bottled water, you use a plastic straw, you have your prepackaged foods, anything that we're consuming that's exposed to plastic may be entering these estrogens into our system.
How do I offset it?
Excuse me. I just ate my dinner and it's bubbling up because I inhaled
I'm
water.
telling you, when you taste it the second time, that's the best part. So, do I do something to offset it with more testosterone?
I don't know. That's the
Like,
short
because I can
answer.
tell you right now, I'm not giving up the plastics I use.
No, we
My
are
water
in an
comes in
existence.
plastic bottles, and
Right.
you know,
Hey, you and I have talked a lot about the necessity of dieting and exercising and so forth. And exercise is one of the ways that you can do that. But there are actually interesting ways that you can boost the testosterone levels in your body. I'm actually going to give you a weird one. In a How to Be Friends with Dave and Shawn first. If you're listening to this by audio, you might be a little disappointed. I'm actually going to have to get up and move around for this. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate. Oh my gosh, we just turned into Evil Dead 2. I was just able to see the crew in the ceiling of your
right.
studio.
But you
No,
raised your cane. I was going to raise mine.
I'm short. I don't have to raise it that much. I'm going to stand
Okay.
up to
Okay.
demonstrate how you can raise your testosterone levels. This is weird.
Okay.
Stick with me 1 second. And you can make noises while I stand up if it makes you happy.
Yeah. Now, amazingly, I'm not doing it. Yes, I also saw the article that said if you stand like Superman for like 20 seconds a day, it raises your testosterone level.
Okay, so the more recent studies that I was reading, yeah, uh, 2 minutes of what they say
And if you're
expanding,
listening, this is the typical Superman with his hands on his hips.
or if you're a lady, go with the Wonder Woman. And I am talking about the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, okay? Linda Carter in this case, just to be clear. But so yeah, the studies that I was seeing are that an expanding physical posture can artificially force your body to raise testosterone levels, making you feel more confident. And this explains a lot of our fears. If it's true that estrogen levels are building up in our bodies because of our rampant use of plastics, it explains so much why people are afraid of every damn thing under the sun these days, because testosterone naturally makes you a bit reckless. Whereas estrogen naturally makes you a bit more cautious. So
Yeah.
when we do these retreating body postures, kind of the drawing in kind of thing, the shy kind of thing, that can raise your estrogen levels. Whereas if you man spread for 2 minutes or more, that can raise your testosterone levels.
Or just exercise, right?
Exercise is also a really
Right.
good idea.
Okay.
Exercise all of your things,
Yes,
the
exercise all of
parts.
the things. And don't be a wuss. Stop being afraid of everything.
It's also true.
Just don't be afraid of things. That's easy. If recklessness is a sign of having testosterone, then I think I'm okay.
I don't know. There was this one time you zapped your best friend on the neck, and that was kind of great.
That was reckless, right?
That's good fun.
Shows that
But
I
no,
have testosterone.
It
I
is worth.
zapped myself on the neck with a taser last week. My testosterone level is probably okay.
That's too good. Oh yeah, it is worth note that for those of you who believe in less packaged food, less processed food, yeah, obviously there's reason for that besides just okay, do I get some plastic particles in my digestive system by heating this up in the microwave? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
might be.
where's the line though? See, that's the thing. There's like no line anymore. It's like as soon as you're like, I don't believe in prepackaged foods, you go like full patchouli. Like there
Right.
has to be somewhere in there where you don't believe in prepackaged foods and I can be in the same room with you without wanting to vomit.
There's
Wash your hair.
there is reason as human beings that we are designed to maintain homeostasis, and for some reason our minds don't get this. Cahill, you're familiar with homeostasis?
Balance, yes.
Balance, right? Our bodies, we don't want to eat too much food. We
It
don't
might
want to,
not sound like this episode, but I did go to college. I have an astoundingly large collection of expensive books behind this thing behind me.
which has gotten us where?
I have an astoundingly large collection of expensive books.
So yeah, our body teaches us to have discipline. It really does. If we don't brush our teeth every day, ain't nobody gonna want to talk to us. If we don't clean ourselves regularly, we have that discipline. We have to maintain a balance in everything. So that means, okay, you read about Dr. J and the estrogen that we're taking in. Do you swear off all plastic immediately and go live in the forest? No.
Yeah, there seems to be this weird, like, I haven't found the median yet. There's like this weird line where you either have a sticker that says hike on the back of your Subaru or you were like full blown back to nature, like matted hair. You smell like patchouli, no bra, socks and sandals. Like you just go balls out on it. I mean, if that makes you happy, that's cool. But you do know you smell, right? Like the rest of us can smell you coming. If you
From a
were in
substantial.
Vietnam, the Viet Cong would have been on top of you. You stink.
Uh, Probably to cook you because you smell like an old pig.
I'm sorry. You're in the Pacific Northwest where there's a propagation of those individuals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where do
Uh,
they work, by the way? I've never seen them at work.
okay. So, I mean, you
Whole
pals,
Foods. I know.
take your pick. What's really bothering me, if you get a chance to just come through here again, you have got to see the mess that Portland has become. It used to be a beautiful city. When you were here, it was a beautiful city. Now, it is covered with garbage,
Oh yeah,
front to back.
Portland has become hot garbage. Congratulations, you officially kept yourself too weird.
Balance,
Balance in
balance,
everything.
balance. Okay, now I do want to talk about something that the army has shifted focus on, and I want our good handsome friend Shawn's opinion on, who seems to be falling asleep, and that's okay. Or did you fart?
No,
Which
neither.
could have been both. I guess the military is basically saying we're done with terrorists. The expectation is that the next major conflict will be with a near peer foe, which is fine. To be fair, if you're prepared to deal with someone who you think really can kick your ass, then if you end up in a fight with someone who really doesn't stand a chance, you're by default prepared. I feel like we should have been doing this the whole time.
Okay.
All right. So, LSCOs are a hot topic of discussion. I just had to submit a training memorandum about how to solve some of the challenges with an LSCO. But it's all hypothetical.
Explain what LSCOs are to your listeners.
Yes. Large scale combat operations.
There you go.
Yeah. The near peer fight. So, I need to know from our good friend Shawn, Who do you think actually is on deck to go ahead and throw down, and why?
Oh, you're asking me who would be involved? I thought
Mm.
you. Okay, I thought you meant what would be the major deciding factor.
Take a moment to think about that as I explained, because in
Do
my
we have to
notes,
be involved, or is it just the next big
of
war?
course we have to. Of course, take a minute to think about it as I make a point that these are complicated, and the reason that the military is planning so hard is just like what you said here in the notes, that you had some concerns about an air conflict, which is exactly what the military is concerned about. So from uh, it took us some time in World War II, but basically starting in World War II, the United States has maintained air superiority, period. And we're planning ahead for not having that, which in our medical world presents a huge challenge in that how do we move massive amounts of casualties if we don't have air superiority? So your initial thought was a big deal. It's exactly what we're worried about, that we can't control the skies, that we're taking 3 to 4 thousand casualties per day. Your typical hospital center can maybe process 600 of those casualties a day. We've got to figure out how to get them moving. So that was kind of the interesting topic of the memorandum. But now that I've bought you a little time to think, who do you think would throw down and why?
Yeah, you know what? When you talk about the U.S., I don't think it would be a conflict with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a Chinese North Korean blend.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't see large scale warfare as being viable in the modern age.
No, I don't either. I'll
And
actually give you
the
the
reason
scenario.
is
Yeah.
because when you have air and space superiority, you can
Mm-hmm.
pretty much stop your enemy before they even start. I think the race to space is the key because
Mm-hmm.
once you can control communications, once you can interfere with all that kind of stuff, you own the battlefield, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people can't talk to each other, so that's why we have AWACS, and
Yeah.
that's why you have oh gosh, what are they the F2s? What are the Crusaders?
You
Are
might
they
be
the
right.
Crusader? They're the like electronic intercept aircraft. They just scramble everything.
Mm.
So I don't really foresee that happening in the long run. I don't see us being in a large scale skirmish. I see other countries, but us no.
I'll tell you the scenario that I see if this could happen. So, for some time, things have been kind of a slow boil about things, and a lot of things are set up kind of tenuously. There's a lot of people who are drawing a some corollaries between right now and the Roaring Twenties, uh, and the impending fall that came after that. Massive
Right.
amounts of debt, the stock market just hot and heavy for no damn good reason, an artificially supported economy, etc. War is kind of a last ditch effort of the desperate.
Correct.
So it requires some desperate circumstances. Now, we had a lot of things in 2020 and so forth that really checked a lot of boxes. I mean, we got a disease kind of pick on the whole damn world. We've had natural disasters. None of that has pushed it to that point. I think it's going to take a real substantial collapse of these weird artificial economies that we have in conjunction with everyone being pissed off at each other. Basically, when there has been so much financial damage done that there's no reason not for a China, a Russia, an Iran, and so forth to go to war, that's when it's going to happen.
No reason not to.
Right.
The
China
problem.
goes to war with us right now. They own a massive amount of our debt that we can just go, man, you're not getting that paid.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because it's easy to have a world war when
Hmm.
when you have literally closed borders. When I mean things are moving slowly by ship, things like
Right.
that. We have become so intermingled with
Right.
international trade. It's
Uh-huh.
very dangerous to piss somebody off because the next thing you know, 20% of your steel is no longer available, or you don't have
Hey,
corn, or
yes.
you don't get fuel. So it's a very hard prospect nowadays to declare war against a large state. And that's why I don't see large scale war anytime in the future. Now, being
Right.
prepared for it, of course, that's why we have the F-35. It's a
Hmm.
multi-role fighter, which was meant to replace a lot of things, but we still have the
Things that are
A-10 that
supposed,
is,
yeah.
and it's a Cold War relic. But it
Uh-huh.
was built during the Cold War when we were literally facing tanks across a border,
Hmm.
expecting, somebody to come in with mechanized infantry. And the truth is, I don't think you're going to see that.
No,
It's going to be an air war, if anything, which means Navy and carriers are probably going to carry most of the weight.
it's fair. We're gonna see how this goes, if it ever happens. Uh, Anyone who's ever served knows that eventually a crazy war is gonna happen, and they want it to happen in their time, not their kids' time. Uh, it's a unique thing that it's like you don't want it to happen, but you don't want it to happen to your kids.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I do not see anything like that. I don't see it. I don't know how it would pop off. And if so, I really don't think we'd be involved in it.
Thank heavens. Which brings me to my next point. If there are
Mm-hmm.
preppers out there prepping,
Yeah, you never go full sheepdog. What is wrong with you people?
what in the sweet baby Ray are you prepping for?
Not everything has to have Molly on it. I swear to God. Molly coolers, Molly baby bags. I have a Molly seat cover in my Jeep that is covered in Molly attachments. Like, I don't understand you people.
You and I actually did a really fun exercise. I don't know if you remember this, but I still have it. You and I, in order to motivate ourselves to be better prepared for emergencies, we went ahead and did a contest where I don't know why I'm using the word contest. We just did a challenge for each other where we each gave each other what? A month to put together a 72-hour kit that weighed less than 40 pounds and
Right.
would cover a set number of things. And that was really fun because you really get to see how a person thinks when you say, okay, this is what you're prepared for and this is how you do it. And you get to see how the other
Right.
person does it.
Yeah.
In a case like that, you and I put together 72-hour kits for like a natural disaster sort of situation.
Correct. Yeah.
You know,
One you should have. That was like food and emergency water and medical supplies and a flashlight and this and that. It
hmm,
wasn't night vision and a 240 round loadout for your primary and a 100 round loadout for your secondary. And I don't understand who these people think that they're going to be protecting themselves from. I hate to tell you this. If the military comes for you, they're coming hard. So, yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen a striker roll up. Your bug out bag ain't going to save you.
no, those Boogaloo boys out there who believe that they're going to somehow operate as good as the Hajis in the
Yeah, I'm
desert,
I'm I'm not going to say you're not going to be able to get the drop on somebody. Don't get me wrong. You might get the drop for maybe a 6-hour period.
right?
And then when
And
everybody
then you're
falls
done.
back and a bunch of armored cars show up and a bunch of
Sorry.
Blackhawks with door gunners, you're toast.
Yes,
Just
that's.
saying. Like, if you were, that's the thing. So that's the problem with preppers, right? Like,
Mhm.
or like, it used to be like if you're a prepper, it was you were preparing for a natural disaster and you were kind of a standout. But honestly, nowadays, preppers are people who are basically afraid of the government.
Right. Now, that being said, if things get went really, really south, if we ended up in a tyrannical government situation, then yeah, the people need to find a way to collectivize and stop that. But it will not happen from the one guy with the bomb shelter in his backyard.
Right. And also, if I'm going to ally myself with somebody, it's going to be all my neighbors. It's not going to be the crazy, crazy, crazy militant guy.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Take a
We had a
breath.
we had a sergeant who said it best once. He goes, if your idea is prep to survive alone, then you're completely wrong. He goes, if your idea is to prep as a community so you're ready for something, then you're absolutely right. And he goes, that's the important thing. You know your neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how you can help each other out if you need something. And
Yeah.
it absolutely makes sense because everybody just cramming themselves in the house and boarding up the windows, isn't gonna work out in the long run. But I think what this has shown us is there are people out there with way too much time and too much money
And
who
too
really need
much
to direct their efforts into something useful.
and too much fantasy.
Yeah, this live action role playing I am a soldier garbage.
Thank you.
You're not, and you're not defending us. You're not defending the Constitution. You're not. You're not doing anybody any good. You're just trying to get out there and make yourselves feel like you're doing something.
It
Uh,
is false badassery.
yeah, you're not. And honestly, most of you haven't even ever served in the military, and I wouldn't want to be around you armed with a gun because I doubt you're even properly trained in how to use it.
No.
So, yeah, it's really embarrassing.
One of the so the clinic that I work at is the sort of thing that has to keep up and running no matter what. We
Right.
we recently, yeah, most of the country has had problems with winter blizzards coming through. That happened here in the Northwest, although because it's the Northwest, it lasted for exactly 2 days. Everyone who owned a Subaru stayed home, and then it turned back into rain. Uh, and of course, we had to keep our clinic running. When the streets shut down, people's kidneys don't automatically kick back on. We still have to be able to treat people. I ended up picking up some coworkers, bringing them to work so that we could staff the place so that we could work. At this clinic, we have to do a lot of emergency preparedness.
Right.
And in of course, only the idea of an apocalyptic circumstance always comes up. And I always make the half joke. If the apocalypse were to start, I want all y'all to come meet up with me and let's get something going. Because again, it's only half joke that it's like I have stuff, I have things to be able to get through. What I don't have is a bunch of teammates.
Right. Like-minded individuals.
Thank you. Yes.
Right.
It ain't all. This is not. This is not rally around your family with a pocket
No.
full of shells. Friggin' Rage Against the Machine. This is not 1994 angsty friggin' grunge rock.
Right. And also, I don't know where you plan on bugging out to and how much food you're taking with you. Are you going to start a farm? I don't understand. There's people out here and they're like, well, when it all hits the fan, I'm heading for the hills. We're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you taking the supply from the Colorado River with you? What is your plan? You're going to hide for 3 days and then run out of water and get thirsty. I don't understand you.
And drink your own piss.
And drink your own pee.
That's
and these are also the same people who are like loading up their car with, well, I got to have this and I got to have this. If the Army teaches you anything, it's that you pretty much everything you need, you can carry with you.
Yes.
The problem is there's a 300-mile long line of trucks behind you to feed you every day. That's what people seem to forget about. So,
which brings us back to the point of why you and I specifically set a weight limit on our bug out bags, our 72-hour kits.
Right.
If you have to march 10 miles to the nearest FEMA location.
Yeah, you're not going to do it with 85 pounds on your back carrying your kid's stuff.
85 pounds of only ammo, not counting the other stuff.
Right. Are you counting your bulletproof vest you're wearing too? Like, I don't know. But it's also one of those things. I am so over these people that it just gives me anxiety thinking of these people. I don't understand you or what you think is going to happen, but I can assure you that you're going to die quietly in your sleep, because in reality, you're probably a giant wuss. So
We're not going to get zombies. We're not going to get graboids
right.
or chuds.
And the
Or
only reason all of you have been able to do this thus far is because all of you whine and cry to the point where they stop using tear gas on you. We just want the public to know that the Portland Police Department has not used chemical agents in controlling this. Yeah, Portland, and look at what it got you.
yeah,
You know what would have
lots
shut
of
down that crap about 6 months ago? Pepper balls to the face. Just saying. It's your own fault.
You and I have both sucked down enough tear gas to be able to confidently say it's not going to kill you.
No. I have breathing issues. Then you probably shouldn't be in a protest. I'm just saying. Like,
Don't throw a Molotov cocktail if you have asthma.
right.
Don't do it.
Unfortunately, it all comes back to the nobody understands the consequences of their actions. And then when people do get consequences for their actions, they're sideways government leadership's like, stop making people have consequences for their actions. You're being mean. There's children. Yes, there's children in a violent protest. Why aren't you filing charges against those parents? What is wrong with you?
Take the kids home.
Yes.
You have your agency to be able to choose to do what you want with your life. That does not give you the right to choose what the consequences are.
No, you don't.
This is
You're all
true.
children. You are just, oh my God. See, I wasn't angry when we started the podcast.
So now you're all.
Now it just pisses me off. I don't. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, yeah, but it's not nice. Like, you're a child. Grow up.
Correct. Absolutely.
You're also this. You're probably the same person who's like, I haven't worked for 6 months and I'm upset because the government's going to stop giving me unemployment. Well, have you tried to find a job? Well, no. Like, you're an idiot.
Right.
Ugh.
There are places. I'm genuinely surprised at how many places are out there hiring. Go to
We
work.
are always hiring.
Yes.
Always.
Get it?
You know what the key is? Show up for your interview. The problem is when we call and schedule an interview, I know that half of these people, they only clicked the apply button because the unemployment office is requiring that they apply for what, 3 jobs a week and have documentation of it?
Yes.
Yeah. No, we are always hiring. Everybody's hiring right now. There are jobs out there.
Yes.
So I don't understand why. Well, I understand why a lot of you can't get a job because you can't pass a drug test or a criminal background check or you got a Dewey. I get it. There's a small percentage there. But yeah, the fact that people can't find a job, I've never understood that. What's the longest period of time you've ever been unemployed?
Okay, so the funny thing about that is I absolutely refuse to be unemployed during this period, meaning that 2009, my finance career fell apart during that economic collapse. It was very difficult for me to find another job.
Yep.
I went to school. I volunteered for the Red Cross. I eventually ended up joining the military. All within 1 year. All of that because I could not tolerate sitting around and just filling job applications out all day.
Right.
I did my basic training and advanced individual training, came back, got back into school, got back into volunteering, and then ended up getting a job thanks to contacts in the military.
If you count my self-employment, working to earn money, in probably the last 10 years, I may have been unemployed for a 2-week period.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't understand how people do it.
Right.
And that's exactly the fact that you can sleep at night with the anxiety of not knowing where your money is coming from to keep your electricity on. I don't get it.
Right. I mean, that's exactly I had unemployment coming in because there was a lot of unemployment benefits at the time, and there was probably like I took a short vacation period, a couple of weeks, like you say, of just be like, okay, I'm fine for the moment. Let me just center myself and get going. And then yeah, I got going. Even if I didn't immediately have a job, I was working at something. I was building resumes. It's anyway. I tell you what, we're running out of time. We're having too much fun here.
It was kind of a slow, laid back episode this time, wasn't it?
It was a diesel engine. It took a minute to
It
get
was
going, and then it was really rolling.
it was just a nice, quiet
Wait,
podcast.
some more mouth sounds.
You know when you pull that first donut out of the bag, and then you take that first bite, and then you chew
We're going to hell. You and I are going straight to hell. Okay, as per usual, as Shawn eats a bag.
Oh God! Oh, it's cherry! Oh,
As per usual, all of our contact information is included in the description. Please send us questions, send us criticisms, which we will happily listen to and then disregard. Uh, like, comment, subscribe. Shawn, I'm going to go get myself some proper sleep.
Dave, I'm gonna play video games with my kids for a while, and then I'm gonna get some proper sleep.
Viagra. Nice work. Shawn, you have yourself a good night.
You as well too, sir. Sleep good.